I tell you, that mute button always gets in the way. So, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of WIN TV, Washington Informer News, bringing you news that matters. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. Hey, if you're watching on Facebook, please go ahead and hit share so your friends can see our broadcast and you can share it with them. And if you're on Twitter, be sure to follow us. And if you're a TikTok user, follow us there too. And please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. That's one word, Washington Informer TV. We certainly really appreciate from the top, bottom, and inside of our hearts all of your support for what we do here at the Washington Informer. And we definitely appreciate the fact that you follow us and just kind of stay connected. And we've got some exciting news coming up in the coming weeks, but I'm going to wait to share that a little bit later. I hope you picked up a copy of our recent issue of the Washington Informer. This is it. And I always like to show the print edition because we are available on newsstands throughout the city. And if you want to know where to find us, you can go to our website. Of course, if you've gone to the website, who wants the print issue? But, there might be something in here that you want to click on or reach out to and we'll say cut out and save and share. I'm going to just say really quickly, it's not in the script, but I think it's really cool that we're providing two special pages for young people. This is called Kid Scoop. So if you have any young people, any little people in your house, you're trying to figure out what to do to keep them busy over the weekend. They're just out, just being like little children do. Get a copy of the Washington Informer and go to Kid Scoop and tell them to enjoy some of the games and riddles and all of that on that page. And we're also really pleased because we have another section. I'm just going to the paper with you all, but another page, which I'm trying to find now, but it's called Kemet. And it is more Afrocentric for our young people. So if you once they finish Kid Scoop, they can go to the Kemet section. I'm not seeing it here, but there it is. There it is. Yes, you can look at that this week. And there also is an activity guide for kids and a lot of Black history information there. And then last but not least, and I'm going to give a shout out to one of our readers who uses our Black history facts, which we run every single week. And she shares with the young people in the schools that she works with. And it's always good to know, Black history, because our history is 365 days of the year, not just the month of February. So we hope that you will pick up a copy of the Washington Informer, not only for those special sections, also for the great news that we've been carrying. I know Kevin McNair, our editor, did a great story on one of our centenarians in the city, and DC has a growing population of individuals who are reaching the age of 100 and more. So it's a great story, and there's just so much more. So having said that, we have a lot in store for you today right here on WIN TV. We will talk about the holiday season and a 20-year-old who is changing the lip care game with chapstick. I've been using a lot of that lately. I don't know if it's lips are just getting really dry. Is it the mask? We need to talk about that. Maybe she can help us to understand what's happening with this weather, the mask, and all that, and these dry lips. But she's our very own news fellow who will join us as she prepares. Well, our news fellow will join us, but before then, we're going to talk with this creator, 20-year-old creator of this new chapstick. So that's what I'm excited about, as well as our very own news fellow who will join us as she prepares to pursue her post-grad endeavors. We'll be talking to AmeriGroup DC and what they're doing right here in our community. And also joining us is 21-year-old Alicia Hilliard. This Howard University student, again, is the founder of a fun band that blends her lip balm with hip hop and pop and creating one of the most talked about items on TikTok. So if it sounds like two people, it's only one, but we're going to talk about chapstick and lip balm and all that together. So you don't want to miss it. You can tell I need it because I'm so confused on what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her. And lastly, we are going to hear from our news fellow, Desiree Chen, soon to be Howard alum, as she talks about her journalism career and how she plans to use her degree moving forward. Desiree has been with us since early in the summer, with a couple of a fellowship and an internship. And it's been, it's our pride and joy when we work with aspiring journalists who come and work with us and then go on and do wonderful, wonderful things. So, but she's still a part of the Informer family. She will always be. So stay tuned. Also, lastly, for a story on DC's Kwanzaa Committee, as they talk about the significance of this holiday and how they've had to do it online. But first, we're going to go to Curtis Knowles for our broadcast reporter for some of the latest news in DC.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. Malika Shabazz, the youngest daughter of Malcolm X, was found dead in her Brooklyn home on November 22nd. Shabazz was 56 at the time of her passing. Shabazz's passing only comes days after Muhammad A. Aziz and Khalil Islam, the two men who were convicted of killing her father, were exonerated. The city's medical examiner is yet to give a full autopsy. However, the NYPD Commissioner Demont Shea has said that speaking with authorities at the medical examiner's office that Shabazz was dealing with a long-term illness before her death. The nation of Barbados officially became a republic on Tuesday. The country swore in its first president, Dame Sandra Mason, who was also the first female Caribbean president. Mason will replace Britain's Queen Elizabeth as the head of state, removing the country's final remaining colonial tie to the UK after almost 400 years. The ceremony was attended by Prince Charles, heir apparent to the British throne, and billionaire musician Rihanna, a Barbadian native who was also named the national hero at the ceremony. On November 23rd, a jury found the three white men charged in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man, guilty on multiple counts of murder as well as other charges. The sentencing date for the men is unclear. However, prosecutors have indicated that they will seek sentences of life in prison without the possibility of parole. The men in question's attorneys say that they will appeal their verdict. Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Aubrey, the parents of Ahmaud, heartily thanked the crowd outside who rejoiced at the hearing of the verdict. Ahmaud Arbery can now rest in peace, said Cooper Jones. A new variant of coronavirus has surfaced. The World Health Organization has designated the new variant as Omicron. The variant was first discovered in South Africa and has now been found in 24 countries, including the United States. The CDC has labeled the new variant as concerning. However, more research needs to be done to see the transferability and the reinfection potential of the variant. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Thank you, Curtis. Really appreciate that update. And we're looking forward now. We're going to talk to Asia Hilliard. Again, going viral during the pandemic catapulted the brands of far less than 75 orders of this young lady's lip balm company. And she has now grown to over 50,000 orders across many, many countries, including the US. And so I have a lot to say that I want to introduce you, Asia, but I want to jump on into this interview to say congratulations, but most importantly, happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm well. And you are a Howard University student as well?
Yes, I am. I'm in my third year.
Congratulations. Mm-hmm. And now you are a creator of a lip balm. Let me tell you, did COVID have anything to do with this?
Yeah, so originally I did come up with the idea when I was a junior in high school, but, just kind of selling to my friends and whatnot and like family members. But eventually with the pandemic and TikTok being such like a big platform during that time with more people on their phones, and I started my TikTok account during that time, it really did catapult my business from just kind of being a little hobby to like a full-on business.
That is fantastic. I mean, you make it sound so simple, and I don't know if it's was really that simple. I mean, you say you had a product that you want to produce, and then you promoted it on TikTok. There's something that happened in between. I mean, the branding. I want to talk a little bit about that, and TikTok is a pretty new social media tool, and it's interesting, but it's grown to be like the top social media community Talk a little bit about how you really sort of made all those pieces come together.
Yeah, so there's a lot of foundational stuff that comes with starting a business. A lot of things, like you said, like branding. I already had like my website together. Luckily, my father, he is a tech whiz, all things tech. So he helped me set up my website. So um, it just everything looked very professional. I had all of my social media accounts the same name, and I email accounts, so that people could contact me or like email me about their orders and things like that. So, it was years in the making because I started the business in December of 2017, all the way into July 2020, which is when I went on TikTok. So it was a couple years of kind of like building up the business so that when I did go to TikTok, um, everything was in place. Like it was kind of like the domino effect. So I didn't really need to do anything but show people that I had a good product, and luckily, people took notice.
That's wonderful. Where are you from originally, Asia?
I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. All right. And you're what year at Howard? Your third year at Howard.
Yes.
And what are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in biology, and I'm also minoring in chemistry.
Wow. Okay. And what are your career aspirations? It sounds like it's to be an entrepreneur, but
Yeah,
maybe
I
not.
would love to be able to sustain this business and even expand to other businesses and help other people. I am currently now passionate about entrepreneurship. It wasn't originally, kind of like in school. It's like, are you good at math? Are you good at science? And that's kind of like the pathway that they kind of teach you to kind of go into. But as far as my major, I would love to be a geneticist, like a genetic counselor, a genetic engineer. I'm really interested in that. But I really hope that I'll be able to, continue with Trapsticks and expand, with like retailers and stuff like that.
So with chapsticks, I mean, we have the original, which is called chapstick, right?
Yeah.
And now, we've got all these other companies that have come in, and the difference might be, I don't really know what the difference is other than
Mhm.
flavors. Or some I don't want to say mentholated or whatever, but they burn your lips.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
so tell me what was your process in deciding, one, the name of your company, which I don't think we've mentioned yet, and
Yeah.
also, the variety of chapsticks that you would produce.
Yeah, so my company is called Trapsticks, which is a play on word for trap, meaning trap music, which is kind of like a subgenre of hip hop rap music that's actually grown through kind of the music culture in Atlanta. So that's also kind of funny since I am from there. Um, but I feel like my business is definitely different from traditional lip balm brands. They do kind of sell you in a different way. Mine is a lot more fun, a lot more for the people and for enjoyment. But I will say that with the ingredients that are in my lip balms, they are natural. The only things that wouldn't be considered natural are some of them do have like a pigment, not to go on your lips because like chapstick doesn't really, come off. The color doesn't come off on your lips. But like I have a cotton candy flavor, so that the lip balm is like pink, so things like that. Versus other lip balm brands, like you said, it's not. Most of their ingredients are natural. Like we have like soybean oil, coconut oil, all that stuff in there. So yeah, I hope I
And what
answered.
are some of the names? You had some interesting names for some of your, do you have some there
Yes,
that you
I actually
can?
I have all of them here.
Yeah. Yeah, we
For
want to take a look.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
and so I
for my
see that you
first
made them. That's great. I see that the tube is a little bit larger than what we're used to as well. So
yeah.
talk about the names,
Mhm.
and then your decision to make it a larger packaging.
Yeah, so I'll start with the name. So my first name that I ever came up with was Gucci Mango, which is a play on words for Gucci Mane, in a mango flavor. I also came up with Nicki Minaj, for Nicki Minaj. So I really like, and there's so many flavors. I won't tell you all
Okay.
26, but I have some
26 flavors. Wow, that's fantastic.
yes,
Okay. All
and
right.
we're still growing. There'll be. I just actually released a new one today. You guys are actually the first people that I'm telling. I haven't told my TikTok or anything. I
Uh-huh.
did send an email though, but Gucci Cane is now available, which is another Gucci Mane. We also do have two Nicki Minaj's, and I know people ask me a lot, like, do you pick the flavor or the artist that you like? And I actually don't. I usually just pick the best names or like the most recommended, flavors like that are in my comments and stuff like that. So it's not actually based on like my Apple Music playlist or anything.
Okay. All
And as
righty.
far as the tubes being bigger, I actually learned this myself through my TikTok. I actually did not know the difference between the size of the chapstick versus my brand. Because personally, I grew up using more like Vaseline, like Aquaphor and stuff. So I actually had never really used chapstick. And some people are like, I can't believe like you didn't really use chapstick. And I was like, I use lip moisturizer. You know,
Right.
my lips are still not crusty, but I didn't actually use the brand because like you said about like it making your lips peel and things like that. So yeah, I did find out that my chapsticks are bigger than your typical like what's another one, Burt's Bees
Right.
and
Hmm.
Bliss and stuff. So
Wonderful. And so I have to confess, because right now I have layered on, I've got vitamin E oil, I've got coconut oil, I've got a little bit of uh, a lip balm, and then I thought I put some color on the top. So I have some layers here, but
Mhm.
only because this has been a really bad season. Have you talked to people about that with regards to, why one, I think lips tend to get more chapped in the wintertime anyway, but what's going on? Have you figured that out?
Luckily, I think with my customer base and whatnot, they have been good since last summer. I would say that most of my customers probably have 20 to 25 of my flavors. So luckily, they don't have issues with chapped, dry lips.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I do agree, and I do see that during the winter time that I do see a lot more people kind of like, I'll someone's mom will say like, oh, like I got this for my daughter like over the summer, but like now my whole family needs them because it's the winter time, and chap lips don't discriminate on gender. So like
No.
people always ask me like, oh, is it just for girls? No, it's not just for girls. Chap lips, yeah, we don't do that for anyone. So yeah, but with my um, I white labeled my lip balm, so I had to like really research the company and stuff and like look at the ingredients and test them out myself because there was a lot of groundwork before anyone ever received a chapstick. So I made sure that if I like the product, that other people would like it as well.
So how can we get it?
So I do have a website, like I mentioned earlier, my beautiful website. I love it so much. My dad works really hard to make sure that like I like everything and the layout and stuff. Um, and like I said, I did release a new flavor today. So if you want to check that out, but I have so many flavors, so many options for bundling. You can get a pick 3, a pick 5. You can get all the flavors you can get are just pop related lip balms or our trap related lip balms, whatever floats your boat.
All right. I love it. I love it, Asia. I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing this greatly needed product and fun product with us. And really just wish you so much success. I mean, you are a very young person, even though you're getting older as of today. But what words of wisdom or advice would you give to other young people who are thinking about going into business?
Yeah, so the number one advice I give is like consistency is key with your promoting yourself and your business and just posting and things like that. It is really hard, especially for someone like me. Like I really was nervous about like putting myself out there, but I promise like it does like it does come back to you. Like what you put out in the universe, like it really does come back. Also, as a young person, take advantage of social media, take advantage of, the trends and things like that, because since the young people are on their phones and stuff like that, like they know what's hot, they know what's not. So, take advantage of that so that you can really like skyrocket, your engagement.
That's fantastic. I think it's great. And that sounds like that would apply to anybody, because even
Mhm.
people that have been in business for a long time and ignoring social media are probably losing out on audiences that they could be using to actually, or reaching, I should say, to grow their audiences. So
Yeah.
would you agree, that's not really just advice for young, maybe starting
Yeah.
out entrepreneurs, but not necessarily age related. Is that correct?
Yeah, anyone can, especially with TikTok. Like if you go look on your For You page, everyone of all ages are, going TikTok viral. I see, people in their 60s. I see 6-year-olds. Like it does not discriminate. Like if it's good, it's good, and people are going to take it, take that into account.
Wonderful. Well, Asia, thank you so very much for being with us today. Thank you for introducing us to that product. Why don't we put the website up again, and the TikTok address as well? Put that up so that folks can grab it and take a look at it and then check you out. And you got big plans for your birthday today?
Yes, I do. Going to dinner. So
Okay. All right.
those are
Have
my
a
big
good
plans.
one.
Thank
I'd
you.
say these days, anything is big. So that's great. That's great. Wish you the best, and happy graduation too. I know that's coming up sometime. Well, in another year, but hopefully we'll see what's next on the plate as you continue to pursue your entrepreneurial activities. This is great.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Appreciate it. Bye
All
bye.
righty. Have a good one. Bye bye. Yes, indeed. So remember that product, because I don't know about you all, but I certainly do need it right now. And I'm glad, it's always nice. This is the holiday season and we're out buying, but it's a really important message there too. And that is the importance of buying with our small businesses, supporting our small businesses. And whether they're online or they have a store, actually store locations, we got to make sure that if we're spending money this season, we spend it in the right places, because all of our small companies need our support. And speaking of support, and speaking of nonprofit businesses, I just thought I'd throw that in there as a segue. I'm really excited to bring on Adrian Thomas Jordan, who is president of Amerigroup DC. And how are you, Mr. Jordan?
I heard you talk about meat earlier and I still couldn't get off. I'm doing well. How are you?
That's all right. Doing fine, doing fine. So, I mean, you all are busy as well. I mean, you're been I think helping small nonprofits, really a lot of nonprofits in the DC area, to help those who are in needs. Looks like over $500,000 you annually give away in community contributions to local nonprofit organizations, and you're looking for ways to improve health and places like wards 4, 5, 7, and 8 here in DC. And you've got a lot of initiatives that support organizations we know so well, as Martha's Table, which is really doing fantastic things over here in Ward 8, and Pathways to Health, Housing, helping us, and so many more. So I don't want to tell the story. I want you to tell the story about why Amerigroup does what it does, and why this is so important, particularly at this time.
Sure. And, I think what it comes down to is Amerigroup, no matter what market it's in, whether it's DC, Maryland, Virginia, or Hawaii, is very community focused. We know we can't increase health outcomes if the whole person isn't healthy. So what I mean by that is if you have housing insecurity, food insecurity, employment is scarce, then going to a doctor, being healthy is probably going to be the least, thing that you worry about. So we look for those social determinants that impact health, not just going to the doctor or just saying going to the gym, but do you have food? And we did a pilot when I first came into the market I want to say about 2017 with Food and Friends. I think everyone knows them. Folks go and they volunteer over the holidays and do Thanksgiving baskets. But one of the things we did was a nutritional prescription. And what drove me to them was that, say, Denise, they went into your house and said, okay, you just got out of the hospital. Here's food catered to you. If they notice that there's other residents in that home, they make sure that everyone eats. If they know they don't have a microwave, they make sure that they get a microwave or a refrigerator. And that's what's, means about taking care of the whole person. Because I know if someone gave me a meal, but I didn't have a meal for my child, well, that meal is going to go straight to my child. So that thoughtful approach to nonprofit community support is what we look to do to partner with. And as you said earlier, for the last couple of years, we did about $500,000 a year in annual givings to local not-for-profits in DC. I can tell you in the last month, we are doing $1 million in partnerships with some of the same folks that you said, Pathways to Housing, Martha's Table. There's a Mama Toto's Village. There's just a bunch of them that we're doing right around this time in the holiday season as folks are still recovering from COVID and we think they need it the most.
So I have to apologize because I don't think I gave the right introduction for you, because I want folks to know that you're a president of AmeriGroup, and you're also a native son of the District of Columbia. And so, what does that mean for you to be president of this organization, but serving the community that helped you to get there?
It means a lot. I born and raised in DC, educated, went to school at Florida A&M in Tallahassee, and came right back. I said, I'm a native Washingtonian. I got to live in DC. And I've always been rooted in the community. So I started working at the council for various council members and trying to support government that way. But then when AmeriGroup entered the market, I saw it as an opportunity to use corporate resources and larger dollars to help more people outside of government, but use those same skills. A former ANC commissioner, a council staffer, and now, in 2021, running a health plan. After Florida A&M, I went to Catholic University right here in DC and, attained a master's in health administration. So it's near and dear to my heart personally because, we have what some folks would say is controversial Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, but I didn't have insurance growing up. So the fact that I could actually help those who basically would have been me is something near and dear. I had to wait till the doctor came to, the high school to get my physical so I could start sports. So to be able to go and do that outreach to communities and populations, like you said, in 4, 5, 7, and 8, and all across the district who actually can qualify for this stuff and remove those impediments, that's my driving force.
And how do you feel about how the district is actually serving its low-income residents? I know AmeriGroup is doing its part, but what have you observed, and what do you think that the true needs are? And food, I think, is one. You did talk about that in nutrition, but is there anything else?
Yeah, I think, as you know, we're a very wealthy jurisdiction. The budget goes up over and over. I think when I started in the council, it was a $10 billion budget. Now we're at like $18 billion. So it's not a money issue. It's really about how do we get the resources where they need to go? And then what's that right pathway? So when we talked about Food and Friends and how they handle food, another thing is I can give out all the broccoli and Brussels sprouts in the world, but if folks don't know how to cook with it and make it tasty, no one's going to do anything. So understanding that there's an educational component to nutritional food that actually gives more dividends than actually just giving away food. So it's being deeply rooted in the community. And what we like to do is partner with local groups who know the community. We build our wellness centers. We have one on 8th Street, and we're planning to build another either in 7 and 8. We don't know where that's going to be yet, but we want to put it in that community. But we also want to staff it with folks who represent that community. So when you come in, it's friendly. You're like, oh, I know you. I've seen you down the road, and you want to use those services. So it's not just about millions of dollars of resources, but it's just about that commitment to the community. And, I'll add, we don't just write a check. We volunteer with these organizations that we serve. We put on our AmeriGroup shirt. So we may even have Captain AmeriGroup, our mascot, come. And we ask all of our associates to support nonprofits in the communities we serve. And we even have a program called Dollars for Doers. So if I was to go volunteer for a nonprofit, the company will give $10 per hour to that nonprofit in addition to what we already do, just to encourage that on the ground we're in your community. We're not just a check kind of approach.
That's amazing. You've been there for a minute, and there, when we talk about this COVID pandemic, I mean, it's been a true ripple effect, right? It's affecting, households and families. It's affecting nonprofits, and I'm sure that AmeriGroup has had to bear some of the brunt of that in recognizing maybe that there are increased needs. But talk about what COVID has done, and is there anything in particular that you want the nonprofits to do that really does address what the COVID pandemic has created?
So, that's been rough for us. We like to be forward facing in the community. So, when COVID came, everything shut down.
Right.
So when you deal with the vulnerable population, the Medicaid population, you really want to be able to have that outreach. They can be very transient, going from one apartment to another apartment. And you don't want to lose them and they get lost in the cycle. So that's been the hardest thing. So having to leverage technology, text messaging, social media to try to stay engaged with, the members we would hope to serve. That's been the biggest challenge. Now we're coming on the out and we're doing more face-to-face now. You guys said the Omicron variant, hopefully that pushes back and people get the shot and get the booster. But, really not being able to engage with the high needs population, I think has been the biggest challenge. But one of the things that I think we've announced it, or maybe this is the first time we've announced it and the press release hasn't gone out, but our partnership with Martha's Table. They had a program called Thrive, I think it might have been Thrive East of the River, where they were giving guaranteed basic minimum income to individuals during the time of pandemic, $300, $400, which is huge, because I think there was a study that most people don't even have $500 for an emergency. So to be able to supplement those populations is really big. It was so successful that not only did we decide, hey, we want to do a new pilot with you, focusing mainly on pregnant and expecting mothers, because we want to increase maternal and infant health in DC. But the DC government actually did another pilot for $1.5 million to start doing basic income. So I think we're looking at, when we're disconnected, what do people really need? They need that outreach, but they also need to have that safety net so they're not a paycheck away from eviction or not eating.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I also like the fact of what you said too, that when you use the broccoli and the whatever the other vegetable was, Brussels sprouts, when you, you give you provide support, but you're also helping to educate and support folks in knowing how to manage their household, nutrition needs and economic needs as well. And I think that's amazing. What's up for the holidays? Are you doing anything special for the holidays?
I will be local. I will be working through probably the holidays. We want to continue to expand our giving profile, but also continue to serve people in the district. So we'll be working on ways that we can be in DC for the next 5 or 10 years. So just really trying to have that done to pave the way for what we hope to be a successful 2022.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for being with us today and sharing the AmeriGroup story. The community, I'm sure, appreciates all that you all have done, and will continue to do so long as you are here to do those things. And anything that you want to close with that I may have missed?
No, I think that was it. I appreciate the opportunity to let people know the resources we're here for other nonprofits who are looking to partner in that space. We're always looking for new community partners. But just thank you, and want to wish you a happy holidays as well.
Let me ask you that one question though, since you raised that. What is it? What does it take to be a community partner with AmeriGroup? What do you look for in inviting folks to be partners?
We look for mostly a proven track record in the communities in which we serve. So some of the names you mentioned, Martha's Table, Us Helping Us, Pathways to Housing. We look for folks that have a track record, but also want to work collaboratively with us so that we can measure outreach and approach. So if it's working, we can double down. If it's not, we can pivot to something else. So we look for people deeply rooted, like we are in the community, but also folks who really want to be a partner so that we can improve outcomes.
And do they have to be healthcare providers, or do you go beyond that?
No, a lot. I mean, a lot of them, we try to make them tangential, but we help with, like I said, the social determinants. If they're not in school, they're not learning. If they're unhoused, we definitely can't make sure that they're going to a doctor if we don't know where they live. So we look for the things that impact people to handle those so that we can deal with the healthcare component.
And for those who might be listening and say, I might have something to offer that might make a great partnership with AmeriGroup, would they just go to the website that we have been displaying, or is there someplace else that they should call?
Yeah, if they go to the website, and I'm not sure if it'll link them to our corporate site, but if they do corporate giving and not-for-profit, there's a whole thing. I think the key word would be AmeriGroup Foundation. That's our charitable arm. They can go in there and just fill out the application that goes to the Foundation and Community Support Committee.
Wonderful, wonderful. Because this is a time when nonprofits have great ideas, but very few resources. And so this might, and are making a difference, particularly in this community. There are a lot of them out here that are doing a lot of great work, but, they just do the work out of their hearts and not out of their pockets. So a little bit of pocket change would certainly help. So great. Thank you again, Mr. Jordan, for being with us, and hope you have a wonderful holiday and get a little bit of rest.
Thank you, and same to your family.
Okie doke. So, as I mentioned earlier, WIN TV has been really, really fortunate, and the Washington Informer as well, to have brought on some wonderful students who have gone on and graduated from college, or I'll say younger workers, because I also say I want to. You may hear me say her name from time to time, but Angel Johnson, who's been working with us and helping us here at WIN TV, and one day I look forward to introducing her to you, or you to her, however that works. Chevry and I just kind of keep it going, but these are the folks that are really, really helping to pull this program together. But Desiree Chen, who joined us in June, is a graduating senior at Howard University, majoring in broadcast journalism and minoring in sociology. She currently serves as our Google News Initiative Fellow here at an African-American newspaper that's here at the Washington Informer. And she's an award-winning multimedia journalist with a clear mission of amplifying Black stories, which is what we really love. So Desiree, gosh, you're about to finish college. How does it feel?
It feels good. I actually am done with all of my classes. I have no finals, so it definitely feels good to be finally done, and to be the first in my family to ever do so is just another big plus on top of that. Just to see how my siblings looked up to me so much. My sister, she went to the HBCU too. She's a freshman at Harris Stowe in St. Louis. And just to see how I kind of shaped that vision for her and allowed her to kind of follow me and show her my life and show her how things are supposed to be done versus the way that we grew up on the south side of Chicago, not seeing many people go to college, not seeing many people be in corporate America or in the news industry and things like that. So it feels really good to finally finish.
Well, in addition to producing this show, and you produced a show earlier in the year, and I think you've done a great job. I appreciate that. But you're also an author. And when you mentioned your sister, I thought about that. We talked about it before, but you've written a book, and it was a great read. I couldn't stop reading it. Tell us the name of the book.
So the book is called Almost Not Born.
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful story. And so how did you decide to pursue journalism in the first place? Why?
So when I was around 14 or 15 years old, my cousin, he was shot and killed on the south side of Chicago. And so Black people are portrayed in the media as criminals or as people who kind of deserve these type of things that happen to them, especially when you think about Chicago and how the media portrays Chicago. And so I'm like, okay, well, I know my cousin, and I know that this isn't who he was. I know that this is not the lifestyle that he led. And so I really just wanted to be a voice for that. And that kind of stemmed around there. So my mom actually put me into an After School Matters program called Free Spirit Media. And it was a youth-based, youth-led news program teaching African-American students how to be in media. And from there, I just kind of took off. I just took off from there. But it really stemmed from me just wanted to be the voice that people really didn't know that was out there.
And, when we think about media, I mean, back in the day, it was just newspapers and radio stations and, TV stations. And again, there were not a lot of diverse representation in those media, in those areas of media. Now, media has just blown up. You know what I mean? We've got all kinds of cable stations and digital stations, and even we here, utilizing Facebook and Twitter and what have you for our platforms. What have you? How would you describe this explosion of media and as it relates to young people? Because I mean, quite honestly, I was talking to some folks the other day who said to me, young folks really don't watch the news. They get their news, from their phones, but it's got to come from somewhere. So, how would you describe media consumption by young people?
I think I would describe it as like a look and go type of consumption. Young people don't really look into what's going on. I was one of those young people before I actually got into the news industry, not actually looking into like what's actually being said and how it's affecting them and how it's affecting their family. In the age of like Twitter, especially because with Twitter, you can see like what's trending. You can just see the headlines and people don't go beyond that. And so I think young people these days, they just see the headlines and they don't look beyond that. I mean, not just young people, older people too, but mostly young people, because of the way that Instagram and Twitter and TikTok is kind of structured. It only allows you to see the headlines and you don't really click on the link and try to go out of the app. But what I can say is that TikTok is doing a little better job of like expounding on these news stories, because TikTok is video based. And so they kind of break down these stories in a way that's quick. We're in a microwave age, so everybody just wants the scoop quick. They don't want to actually sit and read a 500-word, essay about what's going on in the news, or they want to sit an hour newscast. They just want to, okay, can I get this in 30 seconds? Can I understand it? And, and things like that. So I think it's just kind of like quick consumption, nothing more, nothing less.
So you're about to take off. Can you share where you're going?
Yeah, so I will be going to CNN after I officially graduate.
Wonderful. Leaving us to go to CNN. Woo, woo, woo. But, I mean, I only wanted to say that because you're going to a total news station. And, how is it that you see media organizations like CNN and like the Washington Informer reaching younger markets if they only, I mean, there's a lot of work, as you know, because we're about to watch we've watched how you've put this together. We've watched other news productions you've put together that we've used in the Informer on WIN TV. And we know, there's a lot of work that goes into producing this content and telling these stories. And it's sort of disheartening to hear that people just want to read the headline. We could just put headlines and not write stories, right? But that's not what we do. That's not what you were trained to do. So what do you see going forward that media organizations should do to engage readers more, or will they just mature into becoming more fuller readers?
I think they will mature into be fuller readers, like eventually. But I think it's kind of like we have to meet each other halfway. With like news industries, news media companies are doing now, like social media and things like that. But I also think it really just buckles down to telling the stories that matter, and telling the stories that matter to younger people. Because when you look at the news stories, you see like a lot about COVID and, like a lot of stuff that younger people are just like, okay, it happened, get over it. Like I said, this is a microwave age. But I think it's more of telling the stories, those stories that matter. There's a lot of things that young people care about that just isn't being told in the media. I think younger people don't see themselves in the media, and that's why they don't consume it as much. And so I think that's what really needs to change, is telling the stories of younger people and meeting them where they are, telling the stories that they want to hear and that they amplify themselves. So for example, the Trap Stitch story, I thought that was a perfect story to bring on because young people are looking into that. She blew up on TikTok. I think it's all about just getting to what getting into what's trending, and finding the story behind it.
That's interesting, and I agree, because when we talk about young people seeing themselves in the media, even the representations are not all that positive. We keep talking about our children in the future, but a lot of times what we present is not a positive image of young folks. And so I get your point on that. And the fact that you have decided to, you've gone on to college, you're about to graduate. This has been a time when people are even questioning that route. Why do you think college is important, and what would you tell young people about making that decision?
I think college is important because I think education is key. Like I said, where I come from, not a lot of people go to college. Not a lot of people make it out of the hood, if that's what we want to call it. Not a lot of people make it out of those situations. And I feel like the more you know, the more you'll do and the better you'll do. And even if it's not college, some type of education, whether it's trade school, whether it's something that can just advance you in life out of the situation that you're in. And it's always good to learn. It's always good to grow. And I feel like we grow by learning. And if you're not growing, then, I just feel like, what's the point? If you're not learning something new every day, you're kind of wasting your time. I feel like it's just it goes without saying, like, we have to learn to become better people. And if we want to become this person, if we want to become an entrepreneur, if we want to become even rappers, if we want to become a rapper or a singer or an actor, we have to have the education behind that. I'm very keen on knowing the business behind what you want to do, whatever it is that you want to do, because sometimes you may not make it as a singer or a rapper, but you still want to be in that industry. You have to know the business. You have to know how to read. You have to know how to write. You have to know how to analyze these situations so you can make very informed decisions. And so that's why I think education is key, whether it's a 4-year university, a 2-year college, or just some type of trade like hair school or plumbing school, whatever it is that you need to do to advance yourself, and to create generational wealth. Because as Black people, we don't really know about that. And I feel like going to college, I learned about what it means to actually create generational wealth. And sometimes wealth is not just about having all the money in the world. It's about having the knowledge behind it and having your name and having a legacy. And I feel like education is one of the best ways to do that.
So, last question though, your alma mater has gone through a lot of trials and tribulations over the past few years, and the student boycott and all of that. And I know that you're wearing proudly your your Howard University sweatshirt. I love it. Tell us about your Howard experience and what you hope for your university now that you will be a full-fledged alum?
My Howard experience has been it's been a little shaky, definitely. But I feel like that's anywhere. I feel like Howard is in the headlines just because it's Howard. But I feel like that's anywhere. Like I said, my sister goes to Harris Stowe in St. Louis, and some of the same problems that pop up at Howard pop up there as well. I just think it's amplified just because we're, HU. But I feel like also that moving forward, Howard, the administration does need to do a little bit better with listening to the students, and just making sure that the students are taken care of. Because like me, there are many first generational college students, who don't have resources, who don't have the means to live off campus, who don't have the means to go out and buy their own food, and they depend on the university to take care of them. When their parents send them to Washington, D.C., Howard University, they expect this university to make sure that their child is taken care of. And I think that Howard just needs to do a little better job of making sure that these students are taken care of. And that means by any means necessary. We know Howard has the resources. We know they have the political game. We know these things. It's just about now positioning themselves to make sure that the students are taken care of before we make sure that the university looks like this grand, big, illustrious university. We have to be illustrious within our own community.
Wonderful. Well, I hope the president hears that, and that that the other students know that you wish them well as time goes on. I know that we are running out of time, and you have one last segment of the program that we're looking forward to presenting, which is about Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa is the last say, holiday celebration of the year. And so, but we just realized, if one, with reading your book, and you don't talk about it much, but that you're a very spiritual young lady. You do place God first. And so we were trying to figure out what we could get you, as just a token of our appreciation. It's a small token, but we thought about a prayer plant. And Angel is bringing that to you now. It's a prayer plant. And as you take care of that plant, we want to let you know that all of those leaves represent the members of the Washington Informer family, that we're keeping you in our prayers. And as we had to try to figure out the color of the vase, we figured, why not blue and white, since you are a bison and it's a bison color. And so we just want to say thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All righty. So, gosh, we're going to go on now and do this Kwanzaa. As I said, Kwanzaa is approaching. It starts December 26th through January 1st. And we've got a video that we want to show. And then right after that, I'm going to say actually farewell right now. I've got to give my intern a hug so long and kind of wish her well as she goes back to visit her family and then comes back here to do work at CNN. But after the Kwanzaa story that you'll see, that was produced also by a Howard student, I should say. And then we're going to turn it over to Bridge TV, who's going to, they'll be presenting what's going on in DC with the Media Prince and maybe Sounds of the DMV. We're not sure about that, but we know Media Prince is coming. So just want to say to you all, have a wonderful week. Don't go away, watch this video, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday, same time, same channel here at WIN TV. I'm Denise Rollard Barnes, and looking forward to this Kwanzaa story.
These Kwanzaa is a kind of foundational piece for us to work together, to be a community.
The DC Kwanzaa Committee is planning their second year of virtual celebrations. Since their first gathering in 1968, they've partnered with community organizations to host celebrations in person. The pandemic has forced them to switch to virtual programs.
Last year's Kwanzaa, we had people who were presenting from Jamaica, from Ghana, from Guinea, from all over the world.
The virtual programs have been successful, but Kwanzaa is a holiday where people gather.
And when we gather together in a church, and when you got 300 or 400 people, there's a certain capacity to make that event dramatic, if you will, meaningful.
Created by Dr. Maulana Karenga in 1966, Kwanzaa is celebrated from December 26th to January 1st. It is a recognition of Black people's history and culture.
Given the circumstances and situations that we're faced with, we've labored on.
For Kwanzaa this year, whether you'll be able to gather virtually or in person,
Umoja,
it is a time to reflect
Kujitakalia,
and a time to look towards a prosperous future.
Ujima.
Reporting from Washington, D.C., I'm Hadia Presswood for News Vision.
Yo, my beautiful people of the DMV, did you miss us last week? Well, we are back, and we hope you all enjoyed the holidays. So much greatness has been happening. We got history being made, we got Nicki Minaj, we got rap unity like never before. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's Going On DC. Let's start things off with the queen of rap, Nicki Minaj, graced the reunion of the Real Housewives of Potomac. Hey Merlin, this marks a defining moment in knowing Young Money's Own not only loves the show, but loves the area. Okay Merlin, we see you. Her longtime collaborator and DMV's own, Wale, has just been making his epic rounds. Take a look at his performance at Ellen, his pick with Lil Nas X, and his tour he just announced.
Our next guest is a Grammy-nominated artist who just released his latest album, Falorin 2, performing Poke It Out. Please welcome Wale.
Shout out to Q-Tip. Hey. Cool to Dre. Hey, hands up, let's go. Hey, let's go. I just wanna see if you gon' lie, you gon' love me. I was getting bras way before I got the money. Honey, since I've been a star, they don't love me. Still ain't got style. My name Wale Cologne. Stick it out, poke it out, stick it out, poke it out. Hold up, yeah, she got a little hands up.
Let's hop out of Wale land and head down Corday Street. DMV's own let us know not only is he working with Lil Wayne, but he will have money forever because he doesn't make frivolous purchases. Take a look.
Look, if you talk with any actual like accountant or person that like is an expert in finances, they're going to tell you, okay, how much money you really have to buy $100,000 Cuban to like really be able to like actually afford it in a knowledgeable and smart way. They're going to be like, you need to have like 30 million before you can really buy this $100,000 Cuban. Okay, like, does that make sense?
Taraji P. Henson's first look as Miss Hannigan in NBC's Annie Live, which features the very first ever Black Annie. Take a peek.
Little girls, everywhere I turn, I can see them. Woo! Little girls, night and day, I eat, sleep, and breathe them. I'm an ordinary woman with feelings. I'd like a man to nibble on my ear, but I'll admit, no man has bit. So how come I'm the mother of the year?
Here's something to make us smile. DMV, check out this clip from Jobs Not Guns, DC Job Fair.
I think people that have jobs will be less likely to pick up a gun. I think so. I think if you replace the gun and the street lifestyle with something positive, then obviously, that's going to occupy their time.
75 vendors signed up, from construction companies to nonprofits, but also educational institutions and organizations providing therapy.
People go to job fairs looking for a job. The reason that ours is different is that we have supportive services here because everybody's not ready to work.
This is the second such job fair this year, and today, Levity from Ward 8's Mama T, who showed up.
Be getting them jobs, putting them guns down and taking them jobs up.
And Glizzy declares Rico Nasty the first lady of the DMV. Have you guys seen this trending post on Twitter in reference to the Washington football team? Well, read this and tell us what you think. While on the subject of the Washington football team, RG3 is writing a tell-all book. Take a look.
What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that I wrote a book, and it's coming out in August 2022, titled Surviving Washington. Now, every experience that I've ever had has made me a better husband, a better father, and a better player. But I want you to take this journey with me as I walk you through one of the most dysfunctional franchises in all of sports. I'm going to tell you the truth about what happened in that playoff game in 2012 against Seattle. I'm going to detail the medical mismanagement that I received during my time in Washington. I'm going to open your eyes to the sexual harassment that permeated the walls of that building and give you a deep dive into a power struggle between one of the most powerful coaches in all of sports and an owner that many of you want gone. They say the truth will set you free. So here it is, unfiltered. Pre-order now.
VA's own Missy Elliott with a message.
If there was a new artist getting in the game and speaking to you, what would you say for them to have in the queue?
Humility.
Oh.
Round up a good body. Humility. A lot of people want to be artists until they understand what comes with it. Because for the people on the outside, they just see the glory of it, but they don't see what goes on behind the scenes.
It saddened us to report that our girl Ari Lennox was arrested in Amsterdam due to racial profiling. But luckily, she is free at last, okay? But Amsterdam, I'm gonna need y'all to work on y'all racism, okay? Because it is 2021. On the flip side, DMV, we experienced a vision of rap unity that we have never ever seen before when Big Flock, Young Manny, IDK, Fat Trail, 3-0 Black, and many more joined the stage to give the DMV a epic show. Take a look.
Y'all come to my show, that means y'all coming to their show, right?
what I like to hear, man. PM of the beat, man. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another week of what's going on DC. We are headed out. For all this and more, head over to WIBridgeDC.com so that you don't miss out on the bridge greatness and everything that's happening in DC, Maryland, and VA. And if you're on social media, which I know you are, follow those hashtags WGODC and WIBridgeTMP style. We are out. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Organized.
Right.
You know
You
what I'm
really
saying?
have to have it organized.